Days after the Pentagon leaks emerged on a looming fallout between Kenyan President William Samoei Ruto and Nairobi-based United Nations Deputy Secretary General, saying that she doesn't trust William Ruto because she's ruthless. One of perceptions or one of my grounds that I said could be behind it was Ruto's incoherent position in the matter of the Russian war. Welcome to the bold analysis. I want us to look at what has just happened days after that storm came out. And I looked at it as a looming diplomatic storm. The UN team would rather, the UNON team, UNON is United Nations Office in Nairobi, that's the UNON because the headquarters is based here, gave a rejoinder and saying that the DG was quoted out of context and it's just a malicious leak. Something that from where I'm seated, it is just a crisis communication rebuttal. Today, not today, on 21st, that was on Friday, a ship headed to Kenya that was allegedly carrying fertilizer destined for Kenya was seized at Riga Port in Latvia following sanctions imposed by the European nations against the Russia. So what happened? It emerged that some Russian companies, and I wanted to get this part because this is I think what most of us are not getting. Some Russian-based companies gave donations of fertilizer, and these donations were supposed to be sent to Kenya. And then when they are on their way, there were sanctions against Russian companies, these Russian companies. So the Latvia port, or rather the Latvia-based port, it's known as Riga Port, emerged that the ship was seized there. And I understand, and something that is also here, is that this was a deal under the flagship of United Nations Food Program, and Kenyan government here and amongst other diplomatic dignitaries flew urgently to Latvia to help seal a deal to allow the ship sail to Kenya. But what has happened is that it is not yet been named the companies from Russia. I think it's a bit of to avoid profiling, and whether it was also going to the Kenyan government here or it was going to individual companies, but it was destined for Kenya. So I tried asking a question to some diplomat, my communications peer, my CMM leader, lecturer on public relations. And there is something that she told me, that Kevin, such interceptions at the global stage, or rather at that airport, cannot be effected without high profile influence. And it's not a decision that can be made by a clerical officer in the port or an MD of the port if it does not have the input of the big boys from those countries. Because Kenya is staring at a diplomatic stiff. It is something that borders diplomatic scuffle. So it cannot be, however much the countries are advanced, for a ship that is supposed to be sailing to Kenya to be stopped, it needs high profile intervention. So that's what I want us to look at here. And the question that everyone else is asking, and there have been a lot of this question, the fertilizer subsidy that the political leadership here is taking time to brag about, is it really a subsidy program that has been, or we simply selling fertilizer that were donated? We'll find out in the next part of this analysis, because that's a bit of it. I want us to look at that fertilizer subsidy thing and the squabbles around it. But before that, this Saturday, we are going to finish our fundraisers this weekend. And so this is the last day, second last day, because we're finishing tomorrow. So what we are doing is the little you can get to allow us support the family of Mercy, the lady who had tear and was detained after giving birth, was detained in Kenyatta Hospital. And of course, we did the fundraise to seek the release, and the family is a bit grounded because the husband lost the job he was doing because he was taking care of the child when the mother was away, and the motorbike belonged to someone. So we're just trying to find a way we can secure him a motorbike on Monday. So kindly, the last bit as we finish, that who had promised to finish up the donations, I'll be so grateful for that. The number I've pinned down there. And for those who are going to hear, maybe for more details, I'm going to pin the video towards the end of this analysis. So this is what I want us to look at. There is something worrying that it is not a coincidence that this ship carrying fertilizer was intercepted days after the Kenyan government, the Kenyan bound ship was intercepted days after the Kenyan government came out and announced scaling up of the fertilizer subsidy, that we are going to give more fertilizer. In fact, it's about 5 million bags that are arriving, and it is being packaged as subsidy. However, when it's leaving Russia, if it's the same fertilizer, then it's leaving there as a donation. Maybe the cost of transport, perhaps let's look at it that way. But there is the fertilizer issue has had its fair share of challenges. And I just want us to read this article here. Suspicious transactions by one of the companies awarded multi-billion shilling tenders to supply subsidized fertilizer have sparked alarm among financial sector regulators. Now, Mashambani Farm Inputs Eldoret was awarded 10.2 billion tender to supply fertilizer to Kenya National Trade Corporation. So this was awarded to that I don't know why this fertilizer was not taken to the serious board. I'm not getting it. But regulators have since raised questions over the cash movements and documents presented to support some of the outsized transactions. Now, the Financial Reporting Center, the agency that tracks illicit money, and the Central Bank of Kenya, which regulates the banking sector, are combing through the firm's activities over the past 3 months. The monitor of the accounts is intended to confirm whether state officials colluded with companies' directors to embezzle billions of taxpayers' funds through the fertilizer subsidy program. Now, a ship carrying fertilizer to Kenya is being seized because it's from Russia, and the Russian country, the Russian companies were actually sanctioned. Now, as that is going on, the government here is scaling up the subsidy program amidst a discussion that probably there is a scandal in that program. You can join the dots and make your own observations. What are you seeing? Now, far from it, I think we need to learn our lessons as a country. In the offing, there is a Belarus contract. There is the Belarus tractor deal. We are supposed to buy some some tractors from Belarus, still for mechanization of our agriculture. A very good program. And again, the Belarus is one of the Russian sympathizers, and it's also a country that was also sanctioned by America. So, aren't we really affecting our relationship with, say, Europe? This is very interesting because now it borders a bit of what's going on. I was just reading a story today that Tunisia have joined. I think that is Tunisia, Europe, Tunisia, Egypt, and South Africa. They have rejected IMF loans, or rather that was Tunisia rejecting IMF loans so that they can join the BRICS. I think the BRICS is a new bloc that is coming. I'll have to look at that. So, although it is linked with Russia. So what exactly is going on here is we seem not to be very inconsistent. And from what I see here, It is not, of course, just a mere decision, a simple decision by a clerical officer or an MD of the port in Latvia to block Kenyan imports. It must take high profile decision makers, and this is what we are staring at. Now, is it also a coincidence that it's coming weeks after the UN body showed their leaks emerged of their dissatisfaction with the Kenyan government? There are a few things we need to see here. The Pentagon leaks about the UN boss fallout with with William Ruto could be on high-profile corruption fears. Could be on that. I know that it's difficult because of these sanctions to import maybe the grains. Remember, the two warring nations, Ukraine and Russia, are some of the largest producers of the grain. They are actually some of the largest exporters of the grain to the rest of the world, and that war has really created food crisis in Africa, amongst other countries. So, it's not yet clear. Is there a program on what is the supply chain of fertilizer if it is being imported under the umbrella of United World Food Program? So how is it exported? Is it injected? Is it going to the cereals, or they're taking it to support their own agriculture? So if you see, there is a high possibility that these global organizations, they are actually aiding the import of the grain from Russia on the humanitarian ground, but upon arriving here as donation, those things, they are then put or turned into commercial ventures by the country's bosses. So from what you can also see, that simmering fallout could have been about high-profile corruption, maybe that then is being guarded for the stability of this country. Now, it's about time, and I know MPs are trailing the money trail, the illicit money trail, on how a deal was given to a farm to supply to Kenya National Trading Corporation. I am still worried why, if the fertilizer is supposed to be supplied to Kenya Cereals Board, that should be the receiver of the fertilizer. But we've created some injunctions there, a receiver there different from what will be, because this fertilizer, this is what's saying. Mashambani Farm Inputs Eldoret was awarded 10.2 billion tender to supply fertilizer to the Kenya National Trading Corporation. So fertilizer is supposed to go to the Kenya Cereals Board. I don't know how that is coming in. As MPs are looking, the MPs should be in a position to tell the country whether is it donation being sold, because when they're living there, what has been done there, they've been actually left in the guise that they are donation. If they live there as donations, how do they arrive here as a subsidy program? Maybe. A good question. I don't know whether I'm talking to an audience that can answer. How do a donation arrive in the country and camouflage to a subsidy program? You know, I'm telling you, we are dealing with a different way. Now, from what I see, we seem to be stumbling with on a diplomatic front, we are very vulnerable. That is not the first import that we are having, and we are not the only country having it. Why do you think that is going on? But I'll tell you something that maybe you need to know. The shipping companies, the global shipping companies, there was also a problem that Kenya had actually locked out the other multinational shipping companies in Kenya, so that every import here had to be shipped and the clearance through the Kenya shipping line, official Kenyan shipping line. So that could also be around it. But I think, lastly, Kenya Kwanza President William Ruto must be in a position to filter, I think, excessive commercial interests infiltrating of international interests infiltrating our country. Because to that extent, we may find ourselves in a very precarious condition, a situation where we are very submissive. We must tame and we must be firm in terms of what exactly is our position. It's about the war in Russia. Yes, we need to take a position, but again, that position must be informed by how we're also going to manage our crisis, because we must get alternatives of how to manage our crisis. So, ladies and gentlemen, the fertilizer subsidy program is something that will be of big interest to me. You need to follow it up, because even Waziri was saying we're also expecting some fertilizer from Tanzania. Yeah, there is a farm producing fertilizer in Tanzania. I think that is owned by Aliko Dangote, if I'm not wrong. But then a lot is coming in the fold. What are you seeing when about this Kenyan ship being blocked from the Lafzia port? This is the video of the couple we are actually trying to assist, and let's have a good one here. Nairobi is very cold, by the way. If you're coming to Nairobi, if you are traveling to Nairobi, make sure you cover yourself. Make sure you have very heavy clothes. It's very cold, and again, it's also very floody when it rains. So this, welcome, guys, to the bold. And to me, I have a gentleman here. He's been looking for me for quite some time, and I decided to just bring him here in studio. He's going to give us his story on what exactly he's going through, and so that we can see how we can always come in. So maybe you can start with your name. Or what is your name?
My name is Stephen Otieno.
Stephen Otieno.
Yes.
Okay. Stephen, you told me that your wife has a challenge. It's not someone. It's someone detained in the hospital. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you take us through what exactly happened, or where did it start?
Okay. This started after my wife gave birth at Pumwani Hospital.
Date?
On date 20th February. So after she gave birth, mtoto alikuwa nursery after 5 days. So after 5 days from nursery, we went back home. We were just home, things were well. After some few weeks, then wife got complications. Alianza kubleed, mysteriously bleeding. And I was shocked. Ran out to call the doctor, and the doctor told me to bring the lady in the hospital.
Wapi? Unaishi wapi?
Okay, naishi Dandora.
Okay.
Phase 5.
Okay.
So daktari alijaribu, akashindwa. The lady was seriously bleeding. Akaniambia nitafute taxi to rush mgonjwa Kenyatta. Nikafanya hivyo, tukafika Kenyatta. Wakati nilifika Kenyatta, mama alikuwa admitted, na from hapo, so
alikuwa admitted sasa Kenyatta.
Alikuwa admitted Kenyatta hospital.
Na wakati alikuwa admitted, the child now, what happened? But the child,
okay,
the child is fine.
By the time,
but then this is the child.
Yeah.
And
this is my baby.
This is your baby. And
yeah.
Ni baby boy and
baby boy. To Jason.
Oh, good. Even my son was born in February. So now, where are you from first?
Okay, right now I'm from the Kenyatta Hospital. Nilipeleka mtoto kunyonya, and that is how I always do it. Nampeleka, ananyonya, namrudisha kwa nyumba.
Unampeleka kila siku?
Daily.
In the morning, ama unakana the whole day?
No. I nampeleka in the evening. In the evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then sasa sasa ukitoka ataenda unaenda tu mnalala.
Sasa nikitoka naenda kwa nyumba. So nikiwa pale kwa nyumba, mtoto ana survive na maziwa ya kuchemsha. Nachemsha, naongeza maji kidogo. And that's it.
Wow. You've really impressed me. How about the child? Yeah, alikuwa sawa hata wakitoka Pumwani?
Okay, mtoto wakati tulikuwa tunatoka Pumwani, mtoto since alikunywa ile amniotic fluid, ile uchafu, so mtoto amekuwa na shida hiyo ya kungorota, anangorota. Ni kama anafungana hewa.
Okay.
So doctors gave me some medicine, ile ya kudrop kwa mapua wakati anatoa hiyo sauti. So hiyo ndo nimekuwa nikitumia, but still at times nasikia anatoa hiyo sauti kama
hata sasa nasikia na
hata sasa. Yeah.
What did the doctors in Kenyatta say was the problem?
Doctors in Kenyatta waliniambia mama wakati alizaa kuna vile mtoto alimrarua, they got a tear. So walimshona, alienda theater wakamshona.
Na alizaa normal?
Alizaa normal.
Na tear. Okay. So, anafaa show me or something.
Yeah.
We may not understand because we don't have a lady here.
Yeah.
Okay. So so that was what was bringing the complication about the bleeding.
Yeah.
Guys, I was told this, and I really got really touched by his story, Stephen's story. You know, when he was telling me you were in Kenyatta, and I was like, okay, what's going on? So it's been there for how many days?
Since date second.
Date second.
Yeah.
The bill is?
The bill is 80,000.
80,000.
Yeah.
Wow. But then, now that you take care every evening, when do you go to work? Now, do you even go to work now that?
No. Okay. About my work, I'm a bodaboda rider. Na pikipiki naendesha ni ya mtu na ni ya loan. So wakati nilikuwa na hii shida, pikipiki ilibidi tu iendelee kufanya kazi sababu inalipwa daily. So mwenyewe alichukua na alitafuta mwingine aendelee.
Oh, so normally your work is kuendesha boda?
Yes.
So because of this, that is you can. But then how do you survive? Okay, you should not ask that. So should get what is the terms of the loan? How much do you pay to get a pikipiki on loan so that you pay pole maybe?
Okay, for now, loan walipandisha nini deposit. Kwa sahi deposit ni 25,000.
Okay. Then so if you get 25,000,
yes,
you go and pay, and you're given a motorbike on loan.
Yeah.
Then you pay is the rest in installments.
Yeah.
Which you can manage.
I can manage to get 500 per day.
Oh. You unapata endesha around Dandora.
Yeah.
Wow. Guys, I brought Stephen here because I wanted us to get feel of this story, and this is one we can do this. We've always done this. This is 80,000. Today's date 14. If you give yourself 1 week, Friday. Yeah, so let's try. Let's do a 50 shillings challenge. I've decided not to. I'm going to share the number, nobody's number, because of a bit of that disturbance, but I am also asking those who can be willing to reach out to me. My number is there. I'll directly connect you with him so that whichever God has blessed you with, at least I talk. So Mama amekaa hospitali for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you guys are young couples, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, and may God bless you for being a father to this child. I know it's really touching. It's really touching the heart, and I believe that as bold family this will come to an end. I know we will find a way. Okay.
I appreciate it.
Sawa. Asante. Aya.